Hi everyone, I'm Annissa, and this is Whale FM's all-new series, Collector's Insight. In this show, we delve into the minds of art collectors and museums in the NFT scene, otherwise known as non-fungible tokens. Today, our guest is Silver Server. Silver Server is a prominent and popular face amongst the NFT community. Having amassed a sizable portfolio, his collection will leave most NFTs collectors in awe. Please enjoy. Hi, Silver Server. Thank you so much for coming on. And to start us off, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background and how you first became involved in the art world and then became a digital art collector.
Yeah, I guess I'll start with kind of the beginning and my crypto intro. So I've been into crypto ever since like 2011, 2012, back when Bitcoin was pretty much the main topic in terms of anything crypto, and I think it was before Ethereum as well. A lot of my time in the beginning was spent on like Bitcoin talk and Reddit, and it's funny because back on the Bitcoin Reddit, everything was basically a scam that wasn't Bitcoin. So it was kind of interesting to see, and like I kind of had that mindset too, where I thought, okay, Bitcoin's the only real money crypto, and Ethereum's a scam. And I remember telling my coworker actually about, he actually asked me about Ethereum at $1, and I was like, no, this is a scam. I was just
Oh my gosh.
repeating what I was reading off of Reddit. And at the time, you went on the Ethereum website, and they would warn you like, hey, your money isn't safe here. So I'm like, I believe that part of it. I'm like, this is totally a scam. But I got into Bitcoin and then eventually into Dogecoin. I went like all in on Dogecoin.
Wow.
The community there was just awesome. My first like actual investment into a company was actually within Dogecoin, and it was called Moolah. And I was an initial investor there, and they kind of ran an exchange, and they started some mining operations, and then they sponsored like the Doge NASCAR, which was awesome. But then the CEO actually exit scammed everyone, and I think he went to jail. That was my first like big scam, like how I got scammed, my first scam within the crypto community. But after that, I went back into Bitcoin, and then I really became like a big Ethereum maximalist, and then I just started hating on Bitcoin, only because. But I've changed since then. I love like all coins now are kind of equal to me. And then I guess like the first initial like crypto art space was CryptoKitties back in 2017. When that was big, and, I got into that, started breeding, the kittens, and trying to find the different rare attributes, and selling them, making profits off them. That's how I first got into NFTs, and then it kind of stopped, right? CryptoKitties kind of broke the Ethereum network, and at that time, I think it was 2017, then 2018. You had crypto winter, and then that pretty much killed all of the Ethereum hype, and all of those ICOs just died. And then I got introduced to DeFi, and then you had like another big DeFi run during that summer, and then I bought Don't Buy Meme, and that's kind of how I got into NFTs to begin with, where they kind of found this cool way to basically you'd buy meme and stake it, and then you get free artwork. So that's kind of how I got into NFTs, basically just from Don't Buy Meme platform, and then I kind of just expanded out from there.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I should probably start my interviews, like, and other than asking about the people's background, I should probably go, what was your first scam as well? Because I feel like that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But, being in this space for so long, you were here in the beginning, even during crypto winter. So, do you think there are any blue chip NFTs in this space currently and before? You mentioned CryptoKitties being one.
So in terms of the actual tokens or artists?
Artists.
So I think there are a bunch of like blue chip NFTs, and like my recommendation is, if you're a new collector, you should probably be buying from the blue chip artists. And I mean, I have a list, I can go through them if you want. But I mean, the biggest one, if you look at my collection, like, the biggest thing you'll see is like I love Pack, and if you could go through Twitter, it's pretty much like 50% Pack, which probably is annoying for everyone else. But I mean, he was also one of like the first real NFTs that I collected as well. So outside of Don't Buy Meme, the first real NFT I collected was he drew a crown from him on Rarible, and then I kind of like started off that and built off that. But I mean, like a lot of like the top artists that I think are blue chip, like you're seeing Pac and John Norlander, I love as well. Fuocious, a lot of money, Jose Delbo, basically anyone blue chip. I mean, that's if you're a new collector, that's just the way to go. If you go anywhere else, you probably will get, your value will just get cut in like half or more.
Yeah, people are like, only like 0.1% of the projects are actually going to survive. And so people really need to do their due diligence, because a lot of people come into this space, they kind of just mass buy because they don't know where to look. And, there's so many paintings and so many NFTs coming out, you don't know what to look at. Like even after Hashmask, like there's been a bunch, NFT trees, NFT space, NFT planets, there's a bunch of those, right? So it's really hard to choose.
Yeah.
But
I think on that topic, like I didn't get into Hashmask because, there's already CryptoPunks.
Yeah.
I think like collectibles are pretty cool, but I mean, I like the originals more than all of these spin-offs that are coming out. I think I think Hashmask obviously has a lot going on for that, but some of these other ones, if you're buying into them, you probably won't see your money.
Yeah.
That's what you're going for. I mean, if you just really love the art, that's a whole different topic.
100%. Yeah. A lot of people, it's just, you just need to love the art. And if you don't love it, don't buy it. It's that simple. Don't just look for profit. And if you do, then you might lose money because of that. But, speaking of Pac, like 50% of your portfolio. So hearing about Pac going on Sotheby's, like, how was your response to that? I mean, or would you say, looking back, it was inevitable?
Yeah, it was inevitable. Like literally, I knew like once people got on Christie's, there was no way Sotheby's was gonna like let Christie's take the lead, and they weren't going to have a pretty big auction.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was kind of like I don't really invest in terms of I mean I do invest in terms of like where I want to keep value. That isn't really like my main focus, but I mean especially with Pac, it's like in my opinion, I think the value of his art is probably one of the most undervalued. I think he's going to fetch the same numbers as people. So that I mean a lot of like my big buys, like the last one that was like for 900K, I think. That I mean you're going to see much bigger numbers from him, and you'll probably see him follow kind of like the same path as people. That's my opinion on that. But.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I wonder if it's whether this is going to be this like tug of war basically between like Christie's and Sotheby's, just like seeing who gets who next, And I think everyone's just like waiting, just like who's not who's going to win, but like what's going to happen next. It's crazy, and seeing you purchasing so many Pac pieces and these 1 out of 1 pieces too. How do you approach bidding? Because I'm sure a bunch of people have probably you've bidded with and been in a bidding war with. And I also heard something called bidding etiquette, which I didn't even know it was a thing, because I thought, what? You swoop in last minute, you swoop the piece, you get it. But apparently that's not very nice. And so how do you approach situations like that?
Yeah, when it comes to bidding etiquette, I would probably say I don't have any. I think a lot of my bids are all over the place. It really depends on my mindset at the time. Like, I guess one interesting thing I did at an auction was like a double bid. I was getting into a war with a buyer over something, and he just kept going back and forth with me. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna bid twice and bid hard and just to get him off my back. And actually, it ended up working, and I ended up winning. With like the last Pac one that you saw, I was really kind of just following the numbers there. Sometimes I'll bid super early and then really hard, and then other times it'll be like literally last minute, a surprise, and just like a hard bid at the end. So I don't really have any structure around it. It's just based on how I feel at the time.
That's dangerous. That's very dangerous.
No, that is dangerous. That's probably
it's a dangerous game to play, because the emotions kick in, right? And then you're just like, I need to have this piece. I'm already so deep in, I can't back out now. I'm already here. And then you just go, you know what? I'm gonna do it. It's crazy. And I remember looking at your Twitter. There's something called like why did you name your collection. I think it was Z10N. What does it stand for? And what is it? Z10N Citadel. What is it?
So it's basically Zion. It's something like,
Okay.
a biblical mountain. I was like, oh, this would be a cool theme to have. It's, if you look it up, it's like the highest citadel, period. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I also wanted to name, I'm working on a gallery within Decentraland, still very early on, but I'm like, this is going to be the name of my gallery. It'll be a name of, if I deploy, I was kind of thinking of like doing like some sort of blog. And other experiments, like ideas that I want with NFT arts. So really, it's just a citadel, a name of a citadel, a gallery, just a very early idea, and it's just a name I liked. So
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, one thing that I really wanted to ask, it's like in terms of collecting, which one is more, or why do you collect? Is it the joy of ownership, or is it the excitement of the hunt? Because the hunt has a lot to do with it, I imagine, right?
It's hunt, but I mean it's all of that, and then it's also like community as well. I think that's big on anything crypto is community. If you look at Pack, if you look at Ferocious, if you look at John Norlander, the way they kind of interact with their community, it's fun. There's games, they get the collectors involved. I think that's huge. And like someone like Pack, he's just dropping subliminal messages, like treasure hunts. There's all sorts of like different really cool stuff, and I think that's what actually interested me most in Pack and a lot of other artists is them interacting with their community, and then just making friends with collectors. Like I'm friends with all of these artists. I think that's probably the best part about owning the art is, I get to talk to these artists, and I go for them for advice and on all sorts of different things that just become really good friends of mine now.
Yeah, and I also just noticed that your profile picture now is the piece from Pack, and I just went, that is a statement right there. That is a statement.
Yeah, this one was when I was bidding on his creation drop, and this was kind of like I wasn't sure if I wanted to win it. So basically, he gamified it and said, the collector who buys the most tiles gets the whole final artwork as a token. At first, I was like, okay, let me just go for the face of Adam, and then I'll make it as an avatar, and it'll be like a mask, a hash mask, and I called it like a Pack mask. I'm like, it'd be cool. Everyone's doing hash masks. I think a mask from Pack is much cooler than anything else. So I did that, and I went for his face. And then at that point, I was like, maybe I should just try to win it all. And then I just started.
Oh my gosh.
And then I just ended up winning it and got the whole piece.
Yeah, speaking of interfaces, like even Nifty Gateway has a bunch of these like insane drops that nobody's ever seen before, from like the traditional like Dutch auctions, like British listing auctions, and then they suddenly go to like silent auctions, and like just what Pack did, like just like copy and pasting the entire thing and then doing blind boxes. Like which type of drop is your favorite, or listing method, and which type of listing methods do you want to see?
Okay. Pack created the open editions, but now I feel like it's kind of a huge money grab.
Yeah.
So I kind of hate open editions now. And I think probably Pack's going to fix that. A lot of the issues with open editions now, because it's now they're really high prices. And my concern with it is new collectors going on to Nifty Gateway, and then a week later, them getting hurt thinking they're going to, they're seeing all the NFT hype, and really, they're going for it for the value. That's kind of why you're seeing this, these values go up. But those values will just go below the open price. I think that's pretty bad. There needs to be a solution around that. I think something will come soon. But I guess I still do like open editions. I think it's a great concept, but now it's kind of getting a little weird. One mechanism that I really liked was from Too Much Lag, who actually, I didn't name him on the blue. I have a whole list of like top artists that I consider blue chip, and I probably didn't mention a bunch of artists. So if I did, if I didn't mention it, I apologize. But Too Much Lag is on that, and he kind of reminds me of like a blend of people and a kind of like Pack, where he's kind of, he's working with a developer and trying to gamify his drops. And he had his drop where, basically he did an open edition, but every open edition was a one of one unique
Wow.
character. So that was cool. So like that was one way, like there was like 1,500 mints of that, but each one was unique. And then also he created like souls, like a separate ghost that kind of follows you around. So he's doing some pretty cool stuff with that. And I think he's definitely an artist that I think is going to rise to the top, and has a lot of the right ideas because he's also building a community, and he has a pretty thriving Discord community.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyone working, if I'm an artist right now, I would be working with a developer and try to gamify these drops and get community involved. And I think any artist that does that is going to be super successful. They'll get to the top easily. I think the biggest thing is community and how can you like gamify your drops. And if you're working with a developer and you're doing something innovative, I think you'll see success. I think it's pretty clear that any artist that does that, they've seen success in NFTs.
100%. I'm like writing down notes on like gamify the system, like just gamify it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like being innovative. And I think the list that you wrote, it was from like an interview with Eddie Cranswick. So I can post the list of artists, that you recommended or that you liked there as well. But I also saw,
I forgot to put on that list, and I have to actually. I'll probably do a follow-up interview with him. And actually, one thing I didn't, when he reached out to me, I was a lot of things were going on, and he was like, okay, I would like to do this with you, and I'm like, okay, I'll put it together, and started writing it. It came out really good, but I didn't write enough about each individual artist. And I think, the next interview that I do like that is me getting more detailed and talking about, each individual artist. So, I just had a list, but I wanted to be more than a list. So that's something I'm currently, working on putting together.
I'm super excited to see that. Really, I truly am. And I remember the title, just seeing it, from 0 to 5 million plus in digital art NFTs. How in the world did that happen?
It's more now, especially like all the rise in this like Mac's work and John Norlander's work, Ferocious's work, and it's much more than that now. But it's really just there's a reason why these blue chip artists are doing well. It's because they make great art and they work with. They speak to the Twitter community. They're very involved. They network. They're very friendly. I mean, there's a reason why they're on top. So like some people might get upset, like if I use that term or if I tell people, to invest in blue chips, it's only really to protect kind of like new collectors. Because if you go out maybe on Super Rare or Maker's Place or anywhere and you're collecting art from random artists. Not to say like the art might be amazing, but there may be new artists they don't know. I'm not going to say they don't know what they're doing, but it's really understanding the crypto space and how that works. I think Pac had a pretty good explanation, like being native, like a crypto native, basically becoming a crypto native, and using the medium that you're building on. I think that's pretty key, and that's why you see all these top artists because they've kind of figured that out.
Yeah, and do you think that you're good at like, noticing, some people, they're great at noticing artists with pedigree. So, artists that already haven't made a name for themselves, like, in the outside world or the mainstream world, like, or the real world. I don't even know what's real anymore. I'm kidding. But then how do you kind of like, how do you see, when do you know that you're coming across a really good piece of art or a really good artist? Because some artists, they don't have the pedigree before. They kind of come into the space and then they start building up their social media following and their name. So which type are you or how do you decide?
Well, it's really just who gets my attention and how they get my attention is really just from my Twitter feed. So I follow a bunch of people. If you somehow, like if you're on my Twitter feed and I see it, then I start to investigate, go down to that rabbit hole. It's really like stuff that just shows up on my feed. I don't have too much time to go out onto all the platforms, start like investigating. I mean, I do that with some artists, but really it's how can an artist grab my attention? A lot of my attention does go towards Pac because I think he's awesome with a lot of the stuff that he does. but it's really who can grab my, attention.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any kind of investment thesis? And you probably get asked this a lot as well, like your investment thesis in terms of NFTs or collectible projects.
Just it like it's hard to say because I haven't sold too many pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So, some of them are investments, some of them are just fun. Like you're seeing, like
Mm-hmm.
the Pepe Turtle Bear is really just like me going back to the old days when I first had my Pokemon cards on like the playground at school, and I just heard about Pokemon, and that was really interesting. So it's really like it goes back to like my childhood and memories. If it's something new, like if I'm having difficulty or like during the week, and then like a piece of art just like kind of like speaks to me in that way, and it kind of relates to what's going on in my life, that's kind of also how I collect. So just whatever is going on in my life or past childhood memories.
What's funny is that I actually didn't realize that looking at a piece of art when you're upset or anything, it actually makes you feel much better. I didn't realize that, or even just looking actually brings a lot of joy.
Yeah.
Do you plan to get one of those like big digital screens that people have at home that like just like changes like ever so often with their art? They're awesome.
I've been wanting to do so. I actually don't. I have some physicals that a lot of great artists sent me, and that I bought along with some of the NFTs. I'm currently selling my house. It's actually about to close on 2 weeks, so I haven't invested anything here. But on my next place, I kind of plan to have as many digital screens as I can, as many as my wife will let me. Because
how many are you aiming for?
I mean, that's the other thing. Like some of the stuff that I collect, she probably doesn't like. She's like, I think she questioned me, like, no, I'm not gonna quote what she said, but because it was bad and I didn't like it. But some of the our tastes are different, so it's whatever I can get away with at home.
It's like no Pokemon cards.
Yeah, I'm not going to be hanging Pokemon cards around the house. Maybe in my office, but. Yeah, there was like a Surface Hub that someone sent in another group that I thought was kind of cool. It was like a 85-inch computer, like Surface thing. I kind of want that. But I'm going to get as many screens as I can for the next place.
How many are you aiming for? I don't even want to know the number. It sounds scary.
As many as I can get away with at home.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
And has your collecting style evolved over time as well?
Yeah. So initially it was really just don't buy meme, and then started collecting a few from pack, and then I started to branch out, connecting from random artists. Like what you're seeing right now, like Tower of Babel was actually like when Pac had his creator drop. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I wanted to try to do the same thing. So I just found like the Tower of Babel, put it into blocks, and then kind of like have the Tower of Babel fall. But I didn't end up doing anything without it. It's just like an interesting idea. But how it's evolved, it's right now. I mean, it's mainly just based off feeling, my moods. I wouldn't say there's really one way, or it hasn't come together.
Yeah, I remember seeing this like Tower of Babel, and I was wondering like who did this? Like this this looks beautiful.
I didn't do the artwork. I was just like, I'm gonna copy Pack on this. I'm gonna steal this idea, and then maybe try to have a little fun. But I didn't end up doing anything with it. I just thought it's a cool concept of like Babel falling, and kind of like.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100%. So in terms of like let's talk about like the future of NFTs, right? Because like currently NFTs are still very confined. So let's say like even with collectibles, and let's use like for example like Fortnite for an example. Like the skins are still just in Fortnite. Like like there's really little interoperability in terms of NFTs. So where do you see NFTs kind of going in the next, let's say, 10 years to increase that interoperability? And for people to even get loans and like collateralize these NFTs. And I know that they're doing like fractionalization now, but what else? What's coming next, do you think?
Yeah, I think what I kind of see is, you have the metaverse and you have VR. I think those are going to collide. You're going to be, what I want to see is really, I want to be in like VR and interacting at, Uniswap or a Coinbase building, trading with my friends
Mhm.
at the same time, like a really like gamified universe. And then also at the same time, like how I see NFTs is really, everything will kind of become an NFT, like,
Yeah.
a shirt or, a piece of clothing, your car, your house, just any good or services. So I think in 10 years, I think like pretty much the universe will be an NFT. I don't know, that's kind of a weird statement, but I think there will be a lot of cool things. What I really want to see is being able to trade, being able to collect, and do really cool things with VR. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even when you take a look at what like Artifact is doing, like they're making shoes, but then you can also try them on with like Snapchat filters. That's insane. And I think that like there's also another brand like digital wearables as well. Have you gotten to them? Have you taken a liking to digital wearables?
So I used to be actually like a big sneakerhead.
Okay.
And then my taste kind of changed
Hmm.
with sneakers. And then I just started buying like Yeezys and Adidas. And then like
Hmm.
I stopped buying Nike. And really, actually recently I got rid of all my shoes because I'm like, I have way too many. So I just gave them away. So I haven't got really into too much wearables. I did get like the ferocious sneakers.
Okay.
That's, I think that's going to be big. So I think wearables will be huge. I mean, you'll see like Adidas, Kanye West, you'll see all the big names like start releasing this stuff as, NFTs. I think that'll be cool.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you already see so many celebrities pour into this space. I remember the founder of Twitch, Jason, like he released like his own NFT on OpenSea recently as well, but he releases YouTube videos, which is crazy. And you see like Shawn Mendes and Genies collaborating and then releasing NFTs as well. It's going to be insane. Absolutely insane.
What I want to see is, these celebrities, if they get involved, they don't just try to, I guess, exploit whatever collectors that are just going to come in and buy their stuff, that they actually stay and provide value to the space. I think that would be big. And if there is like celebrities that are trying to take advantage of, like I would, call it, crypto natives, if they're trying to take advantage of all the hype and then just run off with the money, I think I definitely don't want to see that. I probably won't be supporting any of that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, a lot of like even artists now, they're saying like, as a space grows bigger, like it's a good thing as well, but at the same time, it's harder to get yourself out there. Like it's harder to like be visible because there's going to be a lot of new artists coming in. Like even now, right? There's a considerable larger amount of artists than collectors in the space at the moment. And so, like how do you think like a lot of people have been talking about it, like artists just worried that these artists are essentially going to steal the spotlight, right? So it's like, what can we kind of help to do that, even though it's going to drive the demand? How do we kind of combat that?
For me, a lot of collectors that I know, especially a lot of the big collectors, it's really how you can, at least let me just talk about, it's how you can grab my attention. Really, if it's a celebrity, it would literally, I'm not really too into that. I mean, if Kanye West makes an NFT, I think that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
If Pablo makes an NFT, I think that'll be pretty cool. If anyone else makes an NFT, I don't, for me, it wouldn't interest me. I think there are people that make sense to do it with, and there are a lot of people unless you're a huge follower of them, it wouldn't make sense. So I'm not too worried about that. I think all the top artists you see now are going to remain the top artists. And it's because they kind of use crypto to their advantage, where a lot of these artists, new artists that come in and just seeing the money, I don't think they'll be able to scale that, but we'll see.
100%, 100%. Yeah, and have you sold any NFTs before? And do you regret selling any NFTs?
I've only sold a few NFTs, so I don't really have any. I haven't sold too many, so no real regrets there.
That's good. That's good. I've seen some people like even recently when Xcopy like went on live on like BBC, and then basically like people didn't pay attention to their listings, and they all got swooped up essentially. So yeah,
no, I pretty much delisted all of my NFTs. The
Yeah.
only one I have listed is really that ego piece
Yeah.
from, because I'm like, at that time, and this goes back to kind of how I invest or collect.
Uh-huh.
It's something that I need in my life. At
Yeah.
that time, like at the time, I felt like at that moment, that week or the past few months, I kind of needed some confidence. And I'm like, and then I started to regain that and get kind of like my ego back, which is a good and bad thing. But I bought that piece really for that moment. I'm like, I kind of need this right now, and I need my confidence back and to help me with some of the things that I'm working. So like ego was something that I bought for that reason, and then I just relisted it because I'm like, I'm not really someone who has a huge ego. I don't, money and value is cool, but I mean, me collecting all of this is because I think it's fun to do. I think value and all that other stuff gets like second. A lot of the stuff you're seeing right now, like the price of life, design. Do you buy designer art? That's from Nahiko, who I love a lot, and kind of he's actually a very interesting artist because he does like 3D art, and then he'll also do like hacks on Rarible, Super Rare. The last one is Foundation. So he'll basically do like graffiti, and he's kind of like a white hat hacker, and then he has some articles around that. And I think that's interesting, and he kind of like reminds me of Pac in some way, that where like, and I guess I said in from like the innovative side is how can I use the Ethereum network or the space, or how can I be a crypto native? How can I innovate and do something interesting? And Nahiko, and I think his last one's like, he's channeling his inner Banksy, and he's doing like this cool graffiti. So I think he's someone to look out for as well. Someone I like when he drops something, I have to have it.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely keep my eyes peeled for them from now on as well. It sounds super cool. So in terms of like wealth management, right? What is your risk appetite like? Because, a lot of people say, I don't want to be a liquid. I don't want to be stuck with an NFT that I don't even like. I don't gain profit. I love it. I like it, but I thought I was going to, gain profits, but now I'm stuck with this illiquid asset. So what do you say to that? And how would you say, like, how do people decide like how many percent do I put into NFTs, and then even like crypto, right?
Yeah. For me, I mean, it's something that I learned kind of along the way through like the bull and bear markets. Yeah. It's really, I probably would say, I made a lot of great moves, but I also had some moves that I could have done better on. But really, it's protecting yourself when you get into crypto. It's when you're in a bubble, you're taking out money and seeing how can I make something that's life changing. And how can I protect myself? So like one of the things that I did, early on was, okay, first let me buy out my house. Let me make sure that, my future's secure, my family's secure, and I don't have to ever worry about a mortgage or anything like that. So that was a key point for me. And in terms of like, how much risk I take, I mean, I'm pretty much, I don't believe in fiat, so I'm pretty much all in crypto. I'm not too, but I have all my bases covered where, if something does crash, I don't ever need to worry. But that's something I've built up over the years. And in terms of like NFTs, I mean, I have crypto, but I'm mainly in NFTs now. I'd say like 90%, 95%. I mean, only because it's been growing so much. My portfolio is NFTs now. And I still have, a lot of crypto too, but it's my NFT portfolio is just going up in value. So I'm pretty hard into NFTs right now. But it's again, from the way I'm looking at it is, I'm not mainly doing it. It's a lot of fun for me, but I mean, I also have art from who I consider to be the best artist of all time. And a lot of his stuff I probably will never sell. So I don't think I have it nailed down yet. And I'm probably too much on the hold side of things. And I'm still trying to figure it out. But a lot of it's in NFTs. But I don't know. I don't think I have the balance yet.
Yeah, because apparently in psychology, there's something called like an endowment effect, which is like people are often more attached to their things and they don't want to let go. So it's like one thing is like I've noticed like when I buy an NFT and I'm like, you know what, I really don't want to give it away. I really don't want to give it away, no matter what. And it's like it's crazy. Like you grow this attachment to these pieces. It's like basically an extension of yourself because you chose it based on your instincts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It becomes a part of you.
Yeah, that I mean, there's a lot of that. I definitely am attached to a lot of the work that I collected.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, in terms of pricing and things like that, I didn't really understand this a lot until we started the Collector Insight, series. But, the role of a collector, because, basically it's like a whole ecosystem, right? Like you said, it's a community. So everyone needs to do their part in ensuring, when you're buying a piece, you're not just buying a piece from the artist, but you're helping them with a career. And it's kind of like helping the mom turn as well. It's like you got to price it fairly and making sure that you don't drop the floor and you make sure that all their pieces are fairly priced and that the market validates it. So what is your role in, or what are your thoughts on the roles of a collector in the space, and
Mhm.
what are their responsibilities when it comes to
Um,
artists as well?
so I think it's a lot of that, like like you said, with pricing, a lot of the top artists already understand that. A lot of the newer artists probably don't. Um, the problem I'm having is
Mhm.
finding the time is like from some of the other artists that I like that I just haven't found the time to kind of work with them on that, and I need to do a better job at that. That's something I need to improve on as a collector. But I think the role is working with these artists, how they see the value, what the true value or what I consider true value is, um, kind of how I don't know how to put this. Um, it, I think it's probably something I need to do a better job at. But really, there is a pretty big role, and it has to do with price floors, and like me, like a lot of stuff you'll see I post is pack, but I'm not posting it because I obviously love them, but I also as an artist, but it's because his art is so undervalued to me. I'm trying to show everyone that,
Mhm.
uh, and it's with I think I need to do a better job with that with other artists that that I think are insanely undervalued, and I think
Mhm.
Pac's one of them. There's a lot of artists that are like that, and it's if I'm pushing someone, it's because their art is insanely undervalued. I guess I have a small role there. Price floors, obviously, and you know, getting a community around these artists too is big too. So just memes and stuff like that, just fun, just making it fun.
Yeah, and how is your relationship or friendship kind of change with like, the artists that you kind of collect, like that artist dynamic? How has that
Um,
changed for you?
I think if I become friends with an artist, I want their work more. Uh,
Mm,
that's kind of how it changed for me. Like, the artists that I'm talking to,
mhm,
it's artists that I love their work. They're good people. I go to them for advice and a lot of things, and
mhm.
it makes me collect their work more.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Yeah, and what is the most you've invested in one piece?
I think, yeah, that one's the last pack one for like 900K.
My God,
850, 900K. The price of Ethereum goes up and down, but it was around that.
that's insane. That is absolutely insane. Do you think that you're going to be bidding on, or the Sotheby's pieces are going to be releasing soon?
I'm gonna try, but I
Um,
think I think you're going to see really high values on the stuff there. Outside of the open editions, I don't know exactly what he's releasing. Um, if he does open editions, I think I'll be doing a lot of that. I think he's gonna fetch really high value for his stuff there. So whatever's in my budget, I'll bid on. But I think it's gonna go for insane prices.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember like seeing open editions, and I think E.T. Young coined this, but even on Nifty Gateway, like they started like buying, like mass buying all the open editions so that they could basically control the entire market. You know what I mean? Which is absolutely insane. Like basically they have like 80% of the pieces.
For which piece?
I think it was done quite a bit, even with the Beeple pieces recently. It's just like, I think it was like the 5,500 day $1 ones. Like in the secondary market, there were people that were trying to buy up the entire collection for 40 each piece.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, I saw that.
Wow.
I think that's taking advantage of people in a way.
Yeah.
I don't think I like that too much. You're kind of lowballing. You're
Yeah.
not lowballing everyone because you want to find a good deal and you kind of want to rip as many people as you can off.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. I guess I don't. I don't know. That's an interesting one. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a phenomenon that's new, to this space, and you can't really see in traditional art. So I think all of us are just seeing where this is beginning and what's going to happen next, right?
I've bought up some of like the pack stuff,
Mhm.
in addition. So I mean, I bought up. I didn't lowball anyone. So like I would buy as many packs or Trevor Jones pieces as I could.
Yeah.
I'm like, these are so undervalued. People aren't holding it, and they don't understand the value of those pieces. So I'm like, if they don't understand it, they don't deserve it. But lowballing, mass lowballing everyone, I think is a little different.
I agree. And even the Trevor Jones pieces, I don't think anyone expected 4,000 plus pieces to be minted. Did you expect that when you bought in?
Oh yeah, I mean, when I first saw it, I bought 7 of those because I kind of wanted to get a portrait of that. Because I think the game that he was doing was, he'll do a random drawing of a collector and then he'll do like a portrait of their choosing. So I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So then I just bought like 7 of those Bitcoin Angels. So I wasn't surprised when he like minted, I don't like 4,000 of them.
That's amazing. Yeah. And other than NFTs, what else are you interested in the crypto or blockchain space?
Yeah. I would say, I mean, before I got into NFTs, I was really big on DeFi. I guess one of the earliest projects I got into was Ampleforth. I thought it was like a really cool idea of sound money. And I got into it right at the start of when it went on like a crazy run. And there was like a community that was building around it. And then in the Telegram, there was like these whales playing games with like smaller like individuals trying to FUD them out of a rebase. And it was kind of like an interesting dynamic. So I got really big into Ampleforth at the time. And then after that, some personal events happened, and I didn't get too much into. I did get into some other DeFi projects, but not as many as I liked. But Ampleforth was one of my favorite projects that I kind of got like invested in for DeFi. And then I actually, before Ampleforth, and kind of like before like Andre Cronje was like the king of DeFi, actually, I remember, I don't know if it was like 2017, 2018, I first heard him speak, and I'm like, this dude's a genius. I'm surprised nobody's heard of this guy, and just started like screaming about Phantom and Andre and his genius to as many people as I could. And then he, released YFI, and it was like, this has 0 value. And me like saying he's a genius. Oh, he's just like playing on the test net, or he's just playing around. I'm like, oh, like I'm just gonna respect that. I'm not gonna, worry about it. And then I kind of like didn't get in. I guess that's one of my biggest regrets, not getting into YFI. But I love DeFi. I think Andre Cronje is the king of DeFi, and I think he's a mad genius, and I think he's amazing.
No, I'll definitely check him out as well. Yeah, and I see one piece that I actually own as well from your Nifty Gateway collection, and it's a franchise carousel. I actually only noticed like 7 minutes before the drop. How did you get to know the artist? And because I know that he did a lot of work for, I think, a bunch of celebrities as well.
This one was I didn't really get to know the artist on this one. This one was me going on Nifty Gateway, And I think at the same time it was that too much lag drop, and I was more into the too much lag drop, and I bought like a bunch of those. But this one I mainly bought that one because like I like Travis Scott, and you see Travis Scott just causing havoc wherever that mansion is, and probably Atlanta. And I just thought that was cool. I'm like, oh, I'll just buy this. More because like I like Travis Scott as a rapper. But I also don't listen to too much rap or music anymore.
It just looks cool.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a cool piece.
Yeah, and do you see like I think like Sophia the AI, the Sophia the AI robot is dropping a piece on Nifty Gateway soon.
Sophia the AI, I'm not familiar with that. I have to check that out. That sounds
yeah, it's insane. And even like the producer of Rick and Morty, he's doing another drop as well.
Was that yesterday or today?
I think it was. I think it was yesterday as well.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's insane, and I don't know who else they can bring on, like Steve Aoki, Grimes. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. Yeah. And even Elon Musk recently saying that he's going to sell an NFT, but then backed out. But nevertheless, he said he was going to. So that's something.
He'll probably do NFTs.
No, 100%. He has to. He has to.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
No, like a lot of the art that you're seeing, I kind of want to talk about it. And kind of like a type of art that I've been getting into, and an artist I really like is Yona Fax, and she kind of does like this, cipher art. And another artist that I like is Primal Cipher. So they're kind of like mixing crypto and art together, and like these kind of like cypherpunk styles. I think is cool, and I've been buying a lot of that.
Primal Cipher. Is he on Nifty Gateway as well?
Yeah, he's on Nifty Gateway. Do I have him on? I withdraw a lot of my Nifty Gateway stuff because after a bunch of people got hacked because they didn't have MFA, I kind of sent a bunch of stuff to my wallet. I didn't send everything, but I don't think he's on here anymore.
Oh, but Yona is super cool as well.
Yeah. I mean, she's pretty awesome. She kind of does these crypto puzzles as well. I wanted to bid on it, but I mean, there's just so much going on, and there's so many artists that I like that I haven't collected from yet, that I want to. So I mean, her stuff is some of the stuff I've been collecting recently. And I'll be buying, any drop that she does from here on out, I'll be buying.
This is insane. This is amazing. Wow. And these quotes as well.
Yeah, I mean, she's done artworks on a lot of like key figures within crypto and the cipher community.
This is insane. And Silver Server, before we move on to the community questions, and thank you so much for answering all these questions so far. I would like to ask you one last one.
Okay.
This is a hard one, and so if you had to choose from your whole collection and only one NFT, which one would you choose? Your favorite? I know. I had to.
If I had to choose, I really don't like it's very hard to choose because I have favorites for a lot of different reasons. But if I had to choose a favorite, it would have to be like the earliest one that I collected. And one of the earliest NFTs I collected was the Hedra Crown from Pac. And it was just only because that was something that interested me and got me into him. But I have like art from him and other people that I like more too. So I have favorites for other reasons. But if I had to put a favorite, it might be that piece.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful answer.
I don't know if that makes sense, but I mean, like I have a lot of favorites, and there's a lot of different reasons why I would collect a piece of art, and a lot of it just has to do with kind of what's going on in my life at the time. Like a lot of stuff is personal stuff that I collect, and it's personal attachments, and that's why I love them. Like because they speak to me in a personal way.
That's amazing. It's like personal significance that gets tied into it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing. Lovely. Yeah. And so now we can move into the community questions. Noting the growth of NFT artists in the space that are coming to the metaverse, do you feel there is a way to find these unknown talents? As a collector, which platforms do you like to visit to find new artists and their pieces?
Yeah. I think the best platform to find an artist, I think, a good mix and balance, I think, is the meme platform. I've been introduced to a ton of artists because they've gotten onto that platform. And basically kind of what they do is they kind of curate the best artists and more of the indie artists. And, it's especially early on, that's kind of how I got into a lot of different artists. I think, the best platform, is probably the Don't Buy Meme platform. They're coming out with their V2, and a lot of things that they're trying to do is pretty crazy. I think you're going to quickly see that become, at least in a decentralized type of platform. You have Nifty Gateway that's kind of like Coinbase of NFTs in a way, but really like Don't Buy Meme is decentralized, where they kind of curate it, but it's with their V2 platform, I think it'll be a nice, good balance. So I think if you look at them, they do a good job at curating unknown artists and also bringing in the top artists too. And I think Beeple is going to be dropping at the end of the month too. So there's like a really good balance there. And that's how I got into NFTs. Like it's from that. So I think that's the number one platform. Another platform that I liked and I've been buying recently on is Foundation. I think they do a good job as well.
Yeah, 100%. So check out Foundation and Don't Buy Meme out. It's just like to get a curation or a good creation of upcoming artists and also great artists in the space. Yep. How important do you feel it is to acquire physical analog works from those artists who do both digital and analog work?
If an artist has a physical piece along with the digital piece, I definitely want that more than just the digital art. But I mean, I think both are cool. With like, digital frames and that stuff, really, it might not matter. And I think there's going to be like a lot of cool stuff, maybe like, holograms and some other cool stuff you'll see with digital stuff that really physical can't compete with. So I mean, like a hologram piece of artwork is much cooler than, maybe a physical painting, in my opinion. So I think you're going to see a lot of cool stuff like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't think I've thought about hologram physical pieces so far. Hasn't written any of that has already been released?
No, but I think a few people are probably working on it.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. That sounds super cool. Have you looked into Blanco's Block Party? With the collectibles being designed by artists, it's going to be really interesting to see how their value takes off. How do you see the collector side of things affecting the overall game marketplace experience for traditional gamers just coming into blockchain?
This one's a hard question because I've heard of Blankos, the game, and they have a lot of cool stuff, but I think a lot of the stuff that I've been collecting has mainly been on the Ethereum network. I'm not sure if this one is. This one might be on Wax or something. So I've been mainly collecting Ethereum-based NFTs. I think that's pretty important to be on Ethereum. I think there is a problem, and there's a lot of solutions being worked on. Polkadot has something really cool that they're going to be, you'll probably see soon. And I think, in my view, Polkadot's the only real competitor to Ethereum. I think that actually has a real chance. So I think a solution from them will be awesome. But I'm not really too much into Blankos. I think, how do I see the collector side of things affecting? I haven't really got into too many gaming NFTs. So I don't think I would be the best to ask for that one.
Yeah, it's interesting because the collectible side, there's actually a lot of secondary sales in comparison to art, right? Art, I guess, is a more long-term hold, if you could say, but there's a lot of action going on in the secondary market. And I think Nifty Gateway changed that dynamic for sure. But I think like all over it, like kind of collectibles, like the trading and the trading volume has been insane in secondary markets. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting. I think Nifty Gateway did a good job at integrating, like credit cards onto their platform and making it easier for artists to come on. I mean, I think the UI, like when I go on Nifty Gateway, it's confusing because you'll have like two or three different drops for an artist. So it's confusing in some ways, but they also made it easy in some ways. I think the confusing part, and I think, kind of like feedback for them is, when I'm like, there's a drop and there's like 3 different collections, it's kind of hard to find and navigate within the site. But I mean, if they make it easier, I think, they'll have even more demand.
What do you think marketplaces like Foundation or Makerspace or Wearable or Foundation can improve on in terms of their UX or UI to kind of or engage that user experience or increase it?
When I'm looking for an art piece that I want to buy, or I already know that I'm looking for, the biggest thing nobody really has gotten right, I think maybe Foundation does a good job at this, but they kind of have their menu bar a little weird. I think it's search. So searching for an artist, searching for a piece of work isn't that like if you're typing Primal Cipher, you'll see a list of people that are collecting their work or names, and then you'll see the drops. It's not, I don't know. Search is probably like one of the biggest complaints that I see from a platform. Like it's insanely hard to find. It's way too hard to find a piece of artwork that I'm looking for on Makerspace, on Nifty Gateway. Maybe even Super Rare. I think that's a big thing. I think platforms need to look at, because it's hard finding what I want to buy. And Nifty Gateway, even the drops is dropping it in 3 different like icons is a little weird.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like I feel like on a lot of platforms now, it's like it's these bottlenecks. So what we're talking about in terms of like secondary market sales, it limits a lot of that because people don't want to dig deep. It's like the same with information. People just want what's on the surface, and they don't want it to be overwhelming, which it can be sometimes, especially with NFTs. They have to, understand the blockchain NFTs, and now they need to like search even deeper. So definitely,
Like on the marketplace here, if I'm looking from artwork from like Nfts or Pack, I literally have to like hit Control F, type in Pack. Then there's like 8 drops that he did, and then I'm looking at the title, which Nifty Gateway kind of grouped it in 3 different drops, even though it's all a big drop. And then I have to like it makes it pretty hard to find what I want to find. I think there's ways to improve around that stuff.
100%. And this would be the last question. Do you have any NFTs that you're staking with their respective platforms?
Staking. Well, I guess what do they mean by that?
I think it's like Aave, Aave.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I do. I have like charged particles.
Yeah, charged particles.
Cool project. I collected from 2 artists there, and basically with charged particles, you can basically the mechanism is you can put like a charged die or a charged chain link into an artwork, and the artwork actually can act as a wallet itself, which is also cool. So you can store NFTs within that wallet. One of them that I have is 33% of it goes to charity, and I haven't really charged it too much, but as soon as I start making more sales with some of my artworks, I plan on like dumping a bunch of like die into there and having a lot of those the interest go to like a charity. So like I have one that I'll probably charge up even more. So charged particles is very cool, and they each individual artwork acts as an NFT. So I'm actually pretty big fan of this platform as well.
Amazing. Yeah, I think I'll definitely start staking with them as well. It sounds very cool, especially if you can donate as well.
Yeah, no, I think that was pretty big, and it was one of the reasons why I bought the artwork.
Yeah, 1,000%. Well, Silver Server, thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure. Unfortunately, all good things had to come to an end. I'm sure that the space is going to change so rapidly, and especially with how you're starting your own digital gallery, we would love to have you on sometime soon as well to talk about that, or whenever it launches.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, of course.
How do I get the NFT collab that you did with Pack with the logo?
Oh yeah, well, we would have to ask Whale Shark.
I found that I was looking through like rare packs, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I know.
I thought that was pretty cool. So I kind of want to get one of those. So
no worries, it is cool. It is cool for sure. Yeah, I'm Silver Server. If people would like to find you, where can they find you?
On Twitter, it's a little backwards, but it's 7 Surfer 7 Silver 7.
No worries. I'll post all the links in the server right now, so that if you guys want to check out his work or his collection, be sure to do that. But again, Silver Server, thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and I hope the community enjoyed this just as much as I did.
Yep, it was great talking to you guys as well. Thank you.
All right, have an amazing day.
You too. Bye.
See ya.